sponsored national conference on good pharmacy educational practices. It's my great privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. Sunila Daneshwar ma'am. She is the Director of Amity Institute of Pharmacy, Deputy Dean of Research, Science and Technology, and Head Directorate of Research and Publication at Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow campus, Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. She is a Professor of Pharmaceutical Chemistry with 27 years of teaching, 32 years of research, 2 years of industrial, and 4 years of international consultancy experience. Before joining Amity, she was serving as a Professor of Pharmaceutical Chemistry at Bharati Vidyapeeth University's Pune College of Pharmacy, Pune, for 23 years. She has worked as a consultant on product design for LG Life Sciences, South Korea, for 4 years. Over the last 32 years, she has pursued research that primarily focus on drug repurposing and designing novel products for various anti-inflammatory diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and inflammatory bowel disease, as well as hypertension, bronchitis, and tuberculosis. She also has expertise in developing validated analytical and bioanalytical methods for drug and pharmacokinetic studies of product. In recognition of her contribution to the field of inflammatory bowel disease, she recently got featured on the cover page of World Journal of Gastroenterology USA, which is a very rare honor for an Indian woman scientist. She has authored 5 invited book chapters. She has more than 90 research publications in high impact journals and 150 conference presentations, which have been appreciated through more than 35 best paper and poster awards. Her contribution to the field has been recognized with numerous prestigious awards such as American Association of Indian Pharmaceutical Scientists Distinguished Educator and Research Award, USA, Academy of Pharmaceutical Science of Great Britain's Research Award, Ranbaxy Research Foundation's Best Research Project Award, Professor M.L. Khurana Memorial Award in Pharmaceutical and Medicinal Chemistry from IJPS, Professor S.B. Sonavne Memorial Best Paper Award from IJP and IJPR twice, 54th IPC Trust Project of the Year Award, PD Sethi Best Paper Award, Bharati Vidyapeeth Seva Gaurav and Best Research Scientist Award. She has guided 60 MPharm and 12 PhD students. She is a member of University Research Council, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, co-chairman of FRC and Board of Studies of Faculty of Health and Allied Sciences, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, member Board of Studies of Savitribai Phule, University of Pune, Bharati Vidyapeeth University, Pune, Narsi Munji NMIMS University, Mumbai, Rashtrasant Tukdoji Maharaj Nagpur University, and North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. She has completed project with funding from AICT, UGC, ICMR, and DST worth rupees 1.50 crore. She has received several grants for conducting seminars, symposia, and conferences. She has received travel grant from INSA, UGC, AICT, DST to attend and present her research at international conferences at Manchester, UK, Italy, Washington, DC, USA, New Orleans, USA, and Malaysia. She is on the editorial board of World Journal of Gastroenterology, USA, Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Pharmacologia, UK, EC Gastroenterology and Digestive System, UK, and APTI Women Forum newsletter. She is reviewer for more than 30 international and 2 national journals. Ma'am has delivered more than 150 invited and plenary talks so far on varied research topics at national and international conferences and symposia. She was invited to record video lectures on medicinal chemistry for an educational mobile applications for pharma students by Tech Global Company, Hyderabad. Ma'am, I feel honored to introduce you as I am one of your students and got opportunity to learn so many things from you. With this brief introduction, I would like to request Professor Dr. Sunila Daneshwar ma'am to begin her talk. Over to you, ma'am.
Welcome, Daneshwar ma'am. When you actually joined, I was on some other call. So we heartily welcome you. And we're eager to hear you, ma'am.
A minute. Yeah. Am I audible? That is the first question we ask these days
Yes.
before even we greet anyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Rahul Butsade, for your kind introduction. And I was hoping that you will cut it short. And it is just a customary to send you the brief biography. You need not read all the things. Uh, at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Anagha Joshi, Dr. Dayanand Kannur, and all the organizing team of this fantastic conference on a very, very relevant and important theme. And I must congratulate the organizers for coming up with such an innovative theme, which is the need of the hour in view of the national educational policy and lot of evolution that we are facing in the education, and especially you are focusing on the pharma education that I like the most. It's my pleasure and privilege to connect with all of you on a virtual platform, and I really feel elated and nostalgic because I'm sitting here in Lucknow, in the Amity Lucknow campus. As you can see in the background, you can see the beautiful 40 acres campus of Amity Lucknow. And we are offering here 17 different domains. And at pharmacy, we are offering B.Pharm, M.Pharm, PharmD, and PhD programs. And that is the reason why I have kept my backdrop, because it will be, I mean, when you will visit our campus, I don't know, but at least you should have a glimpse of it through this backdrop. So thank you very much, and very, very good morning to all the participants, faculty members, and students. The topic which I have selected, let me share first. Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Just a minute, let me adjust. Yeah. So the topic which I have deliberately selected for today's talk, that is predatory journals, a growing threat to research integrity. The reason for choosing this particular topic, you may not find it relevant to the theme of the conference where you are talking about the good pharma educational practices. But if you ask me, I think that for any academician these days, it is not sufficient to just teach. The teaching and research go hand in hand, and it is expected by your organization, by your institute, by your head of the institute, that a teacher is going to contribute not only to teaching, following good teaching practices, but he will also be following good research and publication practices, which we call as ethics in research and publication. UGC is paying so much of emphasis on the ethics in research and publication, and for that purpose they have introduced the particular course for the PhD students as well as professional ethics for the PG students also. And I'm very happy to share with you that at Amity University, we were amongst the first to introduce both the courses immediately after they were made mandatory by UGC. So predatory journals and how it is a growing threat to the research integrity is what I'm going to ponder upon in the coming slides for you. And the objective, now this is a daytime shot of our university. Now coming to the objectives of my talk today, what I'm going to focus, basically, the first objective is to understand the nuances of predatory publishing. What exactly we mean by predatory, how they are different from the other genuine white journals, how to identify or detect the predatory journals, how the predatory journals are different from cloned journals, they are totally different, and fake journals, and also to discuss the various myths and realities about predatory journals, because there are many, many misconceptions about the concept, about the definition of predatory journals, how to identify, what are the characteristic features, and what are the stark realities about the predatory journals. All these things we will be going through. Now, if you see on this slide, you will see a shark, which is very, very, symbolic. And in the mouth of the shark is money. The shark is eating actually other fish, other sea animals. But here it is shown to be eating money. That itself tells the meaning of predatory is these journals are acting as predators. So what is a predator? Predator is someone who chases you, who is behind you, who is trying to hunt you down, or who is trying to trap you down. So these predatory journals, their whole and sole purpose is to actively seek manuscripts from the authors, and in lieu of that, they are going to offer you various benefits, quick publication, this and that, which we will be seeing henceforth. Now, before we go into the discussion of what exactly we mean by predatory journals, let us first see that what are the driving forces that make us knowingly or unknowingly fall into the trap of predatory journals, which is very, very important for us to first identify the driving forces. Second, to accept that, yes, I have fallen prey. Even I have fallen prey. I will tell you this, that there is no, I'm not ashamed of telling you this, that I also have fallen prey. Many of us have fallen prey to the predatory journals because we were not knowing at that time. And such type of talks and such type of, themes, they are meant to create awareness amongst the scientific fraternity. And therefore, I selected this particular topic. So the driving forces, the first and foremost is the publish or perish. There is so much of pressure on the faculty members that you should publish. I say that we are sitting in a pressure cooker, literally ready to explode anytime with the pressure that we have to publish. You are judged by the number of papers that you publish, not the quality of papers that you publish, which is the saddest thing that can happen. And what are the drivers for us? What make us publish so many papers in 1 year? Because our career progression depends on it. Our promotions depend on it. What if we don't publish? Our PBAS or the API scores go down. Your increments might be affected because of that. So this is something that anyone is going to face, and that might be a propellant for you to publish in substandard journals. Second is technology. Now, it is so easy to set up a website these days. Anyone, tomorrow, if I think I want to start a journal, I can start a website in a day's time. And then what I do, I get the emails which are available in the published papers of the corresponding authors. I make a database and I start spamming daily thousands of mails to these potential authors, and I try to trap them to publish their work in my journal, which is just a month-old journal. Understand? And I'm asking you money, and you are ready to pay money because you are guaranteed a quick publication without peer review. No one is going to even read your paper, and they will say within a week your paper will get published. I will tell you the peer review process is so complicated, so responsible, so complex. It is not possible to peer review any paper within a week. The whole publication cycle, if followed properly as per the COP guidelines, it is going to take at least a month before you get the acceptance for your paper if the journal is following the proper peer review system. In experience of the online environment, All of us are working online and we think we know all the loopholes, and we know all the advantages and disadvantages of working online. But really, we do not have the expertise to distinguish a genuine journal from a fake, a cloned, or a predatory journal. We get easily lured by the impact factors which they are projecting on their websites, and we do not even take efforts to go and see either the Clarivate or the Web of Science or the Scopus to see whether their claims are genuine or they are fake. Exploitation of the open access model. Now, all these journals, predatory journals, they are only interested in earning money. They are not interested in the science or your discoveries or what you want to contribute to the scientific community. They are interested only in money. So pay to publish model that initially was introduced for some different purpose. When open access journals came into picture, there are two ways. One is the conventional way of publishing, where the journals were printed in hard copy, and if you want to access the work or the content, you had to subscribe to the journal either. So through the subscriptions, the journal publishing houses used to earn money, or the content is not freely accessible to the readers. So you pay per paper $30, $35. If you go on elsewhere, you will see that any paper, full access is not there unless and until the journal is open access. So through these means, the journal publishing houses were earning money. The moment open access, I would call it as a revolution, came, the whole purpose of that was to make available the science, the reported discoveries to the scientific community freely accessible, easily accessible without paying any money. And if you make your content in open access, the number of readers naturally increases. That increases the number of citations, that increases your H index. So all these things were interrelated, and therefore open access was welcomed with open arms. But how these journals, open access journals, are going to earn money, how they are going to maintain their websites? It is by asking money from the authors and not from the readers. So open access was introduced with the sole purpose to make science available to the community, freely accessible, easily accessible. But this model was misused by these predatory journals because they are not interested in free access to the content, which is very poor, which is not peer reviewed, which has not been given any language assistance, but only to earn money. So this is the difference between conventional and open access model. Now we are going to demystify the myth that all open access journals are predatory. No. All open access journals are not predatory journals. So we will see how to differentiate in the coming slides. Now, there were 4 pretexts or the reasons or the causes that Kurt in 2018 identified. And these are the pretexts that a scientist or a scholar or an academician, they generally use to justify why they are publishing in predatory journals. Social identity threat. Socially, we are so much pressured that, oh, my peers are publishing so many papers and I haven't done anything in this year. This is the social identity threat that all of us face. And because of peer pressure, we tend to do certain things which we should not be doing. Lack of awareness of experience, high pressure to publish, lack of research proficiency. Now, this is something, even if the organization wants all teachers to be researchers, it is simply not possible. The research ability has to be either inherent or it has to be developed. So everyone cannot be a good researcher. Some of them may not have the required research proficiency or aptitude, but they are made to publish. What they will do? If they can't do the original research, they will publish review articles. They are not proficient in English. They are not proficient in research, but still they are pressurized to publish. What they will do? Somehow they will manage, they will draft some article, and the reputed journals are going to reject such type of paper. So who is going to publish? Substandard work. These predatory journals are ready to do your job, and you are ready to pay them. So it's a mutually benefited kind of deal, and that is the reason it works perfectly fine. The common denominator in all these justifications is the urgency. You want a rapid publication, may it be for your promotion, may it be that you are not being approved as a PhD guide because you don't have certain number of papers. Maybe your PhD thesis, you are unable to submit because you do not have, as per UGC norms, 2 publications in UGC care listed journals or Scopus Index. In our university, the condition is that you should have 2 Scopus Index or Web of Science Index papers. Full stop. There is no flexibility in this. Now, how do I do that? If my paper is not getting published in a high reputed Scopus Index journal, there are some journals in Scopus which are paid, which are not up to the mark, but because they are indexed in Scopus, my university will have to accept it. And I am going to select such journals which are not so much demanding about the quality of research, quality of English, but they will publish. Let me tell you, even if Scopus Index we say, and we consider that as a gold standard, there are many journals in Scopus which are not up to the mark. And that's why Scopus revises its list every year, and they publish the list of delisted journals from Scopus. So we will talk about it later. Researchers tend to publish in these journals as the who will not want to publish in a good journal? Everyone would like. But what if your papers are getting rejected time and again because of not so high quality of research? Then you will be, as a last resort, would like to publish in such journals. It is not your fault. It is the time and the pressure and the urgency. Justifications for publishing in predatory journal is a complex mix of so many factors that we have seen, and these operate at both personal as well as institutional levels. Personally also, if you feel inferiority complex, oh, I'm not doing good, I should improve my research, I should improve my number of papers, that is your personal urgency. If your promotions are getting hampered, then it is institutional level and of course personal level also. So these are the driving forces, and the common denominator is the urgency. Now let us see the statistics. India is being looked upon, looked down. If you see the article published by R. Prasad in Hindu in 2018, it reveals that is a 2018 data. 2022 data is slightly different. India is not at the top. India is at 2nd or 3rd position, but still it is at the top, amongst the top 5. That this particular data reveals that according to a BMC medicine paper, around 35% of the authors in the predatory journals were from India. Nothing to be proud of. It is something to be ashamed of. And 27% of the predatory journal publishers were also hailing from India. And thus, India was #1 country in both the categories in 2018. So I say that India is at the tip of iceberg. You see the number of papers published by India, and China is at the highest, followed by India, number of papers. But if you see the quality of the papers, that's why I say that we are standing at the tip of the iceberg, because from the top it may seem that great research is being done. Now this is a relative statement. I'm not saying that all research done in India is inferior. Of course not, absolutely not. But these figures tell us something, and we have to see and analyze and accept them. So the predatory journals and the publishers, I'm using a cartoon here. just to show on the left side what the researcher or the author is doing. He is submitting the manuscript, which all of us do, but along with the manuscript, he is also giving money. Lot of money you can see he is putting there along with the manuscript. And what the publisher is doing? The publisher is collecting the money and running away with the money, because that is the sole interest of this predatory publisher. So a predatory journal, if one wants to define, is a publication. The first criteria, it actively asks the researchers for manuscripts. Now, have you ever received any email which is soliciting a manuscript from you from elsewhere journals, Taylor and Francis, or many other, Springer Nature? Have you ever received any mails? Yes, can you answer? Has anyone received any mail from these journals? Ever? Asking for manuscripts?
No, not at all, ma'am.
It is by invitation, of course. Invitation is different.
Yes.
But actively soliciting, please submit, these are the benefits. These things are not done by these reputed publishers. But a predatory journal publisher will always actively ask you for papers by spamming. Literally, they are spamming your inbox also. They enter your inbox also. They are no more a part of the spam or the junk folder. And it is you, before deleting, you are going to open it. You are going to read it. And then you are going to get trapped by all the discounts and all the, things, good things that they are saying about themselves. They have no peer review system. We are going to discuss the importance of peer review later on. Time is very short, so please pardon me if I jump from one concept to other, but there are many more important things coming up in the next slides. There is no true editorial board. They are often found to publish mediocre or worthless papers. Often, I'm saying. Now again, please understand, often, not always, most of the times, because it is not peer reviewed. It is not going to any experts to know their comments, to know the worthiness of the publication, to see whether the English is up to the mark, whether the science is correct, hypothesis is correct, methodology, the conclusions, interpretations. Who is going to see all these things? No one. Because within a week, this cannot happen. Editor is the steward of a journal who is responsible for maintaining the quality and standard of a journal. Now, if there is no proper editorial board, that means the ship is without any anchor. It is just sailing on its own. So it may be going anywhere without any direction. They also ask for huge publication charges. We have been hammering on this time and again. Now, who has introduced this term first? From where does this term arise? Jeffrey Beall gets the credit of introducing this particular term. He was a librarian, rather he is. You can see his videos on the YouTube if you are interested. Very interesting, insights he will give you about the predatory journals. He is a librarian, founder of the Beall's list. This list is not functional anymore. Anyone who is trying to do something good, who is talking the truth, who is pointing fingers, is not liked by the community, because the fingers are pointed at you. Who one would like that? So Jeffrey Beall, an American librarian and library scientist of University of Colorado, he published Beall's list in 2010. And he used to update that list till 2017. Every year, he used to update that list, remove some journals, include some journals in the list. The Beall's list is of the blacklisted or the predatory or fake journals. Now, what happened, Beall published the list, but the criteria that he defined was quite contradictory, and it called upon lot of discussions, heated discussions amongst the scientific community, and the journals which were listed as predatory had the objection. And because of all these, there was a case against him of a misconduct. And because of that, this was the case by Frontier Media. and because their journals might have been included in his list, and therefore a case of misconduct was there against him, and because of that he had to close down the list. So now Beale's list is not available after 2017. But there was an investigation committee that was constituted by the University of Colorado who found no such findings, and they gave him a clear chit. But that did not mean that he can publish that list. So after 2007, if not Beale's list, there was a mushrooming of other such lists, taking the original idea from the Beales, and now there are many such lists which are available. One of them is Cabell's blacklist, which is a paywalled. It is paid. You cannot access it freely. Beale's list was freely available. Now there are other synonyms for predatory journals, which you should know. Illegitimate journals, fraudulent journals, deceptive, dark journals, journals operating in bad faith, paid journals, open access journals. Now, I'm going to demystify the myth that all predatory journals are, all open access journals are predatory. That is not the case. Predatory publishing is often confused with open access publishing. Distinguishing between genuine and predatory open access publishers is a challenge, and we are going to take that challenge, and let us discuss the characteristic features of predatory journals. Now, these are some indicators how to identify. I'm saying indicators. When you find that out of the 20-30 characteristics, if more than 80% you are ticking, then there is no doubt that the journal is a predatory one. So there is no universal definition for predatory journals, but the characteristic features. Standardized characteristic features you will not find, but I have tried to compile them. It is a very, very hot topic for the last few decades in the publishing landscape. Many controversial viewpoints. And despite a lot of awareness and attention in the literature, the mushrooming of the predatory journals and publisher hasn't stopped. It is rapidly growing because the technology is rapidly advancing. Developing websites is no more a dream. It is very, very easy and possible. And I told you how they are operating. Some researchers may be tricked. Yes, first time, all of us are tricked. We are not doing it intentionally. We don't know how deep-rooted it is, and you get trapped. But there are many of us who are doing it knowingly. I'm going to tell you just one thing. Being in this profession for so long, while we interview the candidates for faculty positions, and when we read the CV, let me tell you, one glance at your CV and the list of publications is enough to tell us about your standing. So even if one thinks that I have large number of papers, just reading the name of the journal is sufficient enough to form an impression on the experts who are sitting in the interview board. Now, coming to COPE, if you don't know what COPE is, you better know that it is Committee on Publication Ethics. This is a committee, an honorary committee, which is comprising of the editors and the publishers of very, very reputed medical journals. And they have given a definition, an indicative definition of predatory publishing. They say that it is generally defined as for-profit open access journal publication of scholarly articles without the benefit of peer review by experts in the field or the usual editorial oversight of the journals in question. I have given various references. You may take the screenshots or photographs if you are interested. Now coming to the characteristic features, they are also called as write-only or deceptive publishing model. Basically, the purpose is to exploit the authors by charging publication fee. without providing them any quality, any language assistance, any peer review process. No editorial services are provided. They are said to be predatory because they are tricking you into publishing with them. So some of us might be, aware that they are poor quality or fraudulent journals, but still because of pressure, we are publishing. New scholars from the developing countries. This is very important for the students if they are attending this conference. That new scholars, PhD scholars, MPharm students, who are just at the start of their career, very excited, very enthusiastic, and very much longing to publish something on their name, to see their name as authors. These are the ones who fall prey very fast. They are at a higher risk of getting their work published because they are misled. I will give you an example of how they are misled. Many journals, they ask for the email IDs of the co-authors also. Or if not their mail IDs, the corresponding author's mail ID is there. For example, if I have published a paper with Rahul Buchade, which I have, mail ID is mine. But I am getting a mail when I published my paper with Rahul when he was doing MPharm. He was not even doctorate. But I receive a mail which is addressed to Dr. Rahul, asking him inviting him to review a paper. They don't know that Rahul is an MPharm student, but they are addressing him. They are also inviting him to publish some review article on a very, very specialized area. Now, these are the ways by which these journals are luring these scholars who are just at the start of their career, and they get easily trapped by this. According to one study, 60% of the articles published in predatory journals receive no citation. Please understand, what is the point in wasting your money if no one is going to read your published work? If no one is going to read, you will never get a citation, and it is not going to add to anything to your CV. Just a publication, just a number. That's it. Now, no list to rule out. I told you that after Beale's list, there were so many other lists which were published. And if you see the different lists, this is a very wonderful diagram which shows you that there are overlapping between the lists. Beale's list initially was having 1,135 journals, which he said are predatory. Cabell's list had 10,406, large number. 228 journals of Kabyl's and Beale's were overlapping. Very less number, right? So there are different journals in Kabyl's list, different journals in Beale's, only 228 are overlapping with each other. Now, Kabyl's verified list, there is a directory of open access journals, DOAJ. And if you see the overlapping of Kabyl's and DOAJ, you will find only 979 journals are overlapping in both the lists. So there is no one list which is perfect or ideal or standard. Why predatory publishing poses a threat to the research integrity? This is our main question that we are trying to answer here. There is no peer review or corrupted peer review. Corrupted peer review means the reviewers are not really the experts in the field. They are quite junior, who do not have any expertise, but they are being invited, and those feel very happy that they are getting the invitation to review at that stage in their career, and they do the review. Now, what kind of review they are going to do? Needless to say, no comment on that, but this is called corrupted peer review. No editorial language assistance. You know that reputed journals, you receive the galley proofs. You receive language assistance also these days. They point out, highlight that, these are the suggestions. And if you accept, it automatically gets corrected grammatically. Grammarly also many of them are using, and you receive a manuscript before publishing. You receive galley proofs also, which you have to read very, very thoroughly, because many symbols, many figures, if there is incompatibility between the programs or the softwares they are using, some lines, some words, some symbols, they get changed. So proofreading is very, very important. But the predatory journals do not provide you proofs. So you don't know. Whatever you have submitted, it is going to be published as it is. No one is going to even read a single line. And if you open such a paper and you just read one line in the abstract, which is sufficient to tell you that this has not received any kind of language assistance. The English is totally wrong. One sentence, other sentence. Now these days, as faculty members, I don't know if you are aware that there are softwares, because plagiarism sword is on the head now. PhD thesis submission, you need plagiarism check below 15% before you upload on Shodh Ganga. In Amity, at every, even BPharm students do projects and they submit reports here. So for all from undergraduate only, the plagiarism and awareness, and we have a license copy of Turnitin, through which everything is first screened, and if it is found below 15%, then only it proceeds further. So awareness regarding plagiarism is there, and because of that, to remove the plagiarism, and if you don't have English proficiency, then you tend to use softwares which claims that if you just submit the paper, we will rephrase it. After rephrasing, you run it again through the plagiarism software and you find 0% similarity. How is that even possible? Or 5%. And if you start reading the sentences, you will be shocked for your life, because all the words are made topsy-turvy and not a single sentence makes any sense. And how will you find a similarity for such nonsense sentences in the Turnitin or in the Dilbert or other softwares? And that's why the percent similarity comes less. So such paper, imagine if such type of paper is submitted to a predatory journal and it is getting published as it is, how harmful it is for the scientific community. Is it not a threat? Is it not a threat? If we start speaking English, which is totally wrong grammatically, the teachers also start speaking like that. The students will pick that up. Imagine your kids who are going in the school are taught like this. Will you send your kids to such schools? Because we have faith in the system. We have faith in the teacher's ability, right? So this is a vicious circle and it has to be broken or stopped somewhere. They are exploiting the open access model. Open access, I told you, the purpose was something different, which is totally now turned into advantage of the predatory journals. Misreporting of the scientific data, no one is checking whether the interpretation of the NMR is correct or not. I have interpreted, it is getting published. Someone is referring to that, giving reference to that something wrong, and then saying that, oh, that paper has interpreted it like this, I have taken it from there. So it is going to add, and it is going to blow out of proportion someday. Misreporting, fraud results proving to be derogatory for the scientific community and fatal to the society. Predatory publishers damage the science more than anything else. And such papers either do not get any citations or very, very less citations, because the readers, if not the journal publisher or the editor, can very well gauge what standard of paper is this, whether the results are genuine or believable or citable or not. Poor credibility, poor impression in the scientific community. They turn a blind eye to the limitations of the paper. Paper must be very poor language, poor science. They just ignore. They don't send to any peer review. And the worst of them fake the peer review process. They fake it. They say that we follow peer review process. And these days, earlier they were caught because they used to say within a week we will publish. Now they know better. COP guidelines say that you have to, on your paper, when the paper was received, when it was reviewed, when it was accepted, when it was published, all these dates should be mentioned when the paper gets published. So all the dates are there. Now, if you write there that received today and published 1 week after, you are doing abel mujhe maar, right? So instead of doing that, they fake it. They receive your paper and you will get the acceptance after 1 month. But in this 1 month, is it being sent to the peer reviewers? No. The reviewers' comments that you get are going to tell you whether it was really sent to the peer reviewers or not. And the reviewers' comments are just like this. Please check the grammar. Please make sure that the references are as per the journal standard. Third line, which is the most important, pay rupees so and so immediately, without which your paper will not be published. And they will give you all the details. Sometimes they project some different amount on their website and ask much higher than that from you, per author, per page, n number of ways by which they can extort money from you. Published paper, yeah, this is a threat all of us should know, because some journals whose whole purpose is to mint money, they will start accepting papers for 2-3 years. You will find that, okay, they are doing good. And in the 4th year, they will vanish from the website. No clues, no footprints, no archives. Your paper vanishes. What you are going to do? Your paper, which was published in even 1984, is in the archives of that journal. But for such journals, they are just going to collect money and disappear. And within a year, they will come up with another journal, with another name, with another editorial board, and you never know. When you publish in such journals, citations is a dream which will not be fulfilled. You might be accused of unethical practices because they are not providing you editorial services. Your paper is not run through plagiarism software, and you have copy pasted everything. So you haven't bothered about plagiarism. You have submitted. They haven't bothered. They are publishing. And if the original author comes across your paper, this is the most important risk. If the other author comes across your plagiarized content, the copyrighted journal might blacklist you, might contact your employer. There might be some inquiry committee and you might be blacklisted, or you might be removed from the job. There are so many cases on the internet which you can yourself see. These are the characteristics. Most of them we have covered, so I will rush through. They will quickly accept your paper without any quality control. Article fees, immediately they will ask you. You will be notified about it. They will aggressively campaign through spamming your mails to submit articles for special issues. They will list academicians of very high repute without getting their consent as members of their editorial board. You will find the names of your students also in the editorial boards who have not received doctorate, but they are putting doctor in as a prefix. So it's a huge racket. And there are many a times such people who are imaginary. Some photographs, some names, some affiliations. If you try to see that person, you will see doesn't exist. Fake people are shown as the members of the editorial board. Mimicking the name or website style of more established journals. We will deal with this. Clone journals is a different set of things. Making misleading claims. Impact factor, false claim. Global impact factor, scientific impact factor, whatever. We will see that only 2 impact factors, site score and impact factor, are the legitimate impact factors which one should trust, one should quote, and one should believe in. All other impact factors which are projected impact factor. If you are 2 years old or 1 year old journal, you simply cannot calculate the impact factor on your own also, because the formula is different. We will see the formula also. They will use ISSNs improperly. You just have to go to the ISSN site and check whether the ISSN which they are claiming is appearing in front of the name of that journal or not. They will change the last 2 digits or the middle 2 digits. and copy the ISSN of some other journal, citing fake or non-existent impact factors using the logos of Scopus, Web of Science, Clarivate, Thomson Reuters. Anyone can crop a logo and put. What is there? So easy to crop anything. How to identify the predatory journals? The owner of the publishing house is identified as the editor. The owner, the publisher and editors are generally different. Reputed journals have the chief editor, then they have associate, assistant editors, regional, zonal editors, subject specific editors, but here only one editor. He is the publisher also. And the address, if you try to find out, you will find Mathura, Ayodhya, because I am UP. In UP, I am giving examples of UP. Doesn't mean that all the predatory journals are published from UP. Other states are also equally involved. I'm just giving, to be safe, I'm giving examples of UP. So no one should, get disheartened because of that. No formal editorial board, no peer review. The information many a times is missing from their websites. You will find a particular journal. It starts with World Journal. Just go and check the series. Now, I will tell you one thing, that Baishing Company USA publishing house, all their journals, they start with World Journal of. I am on the editorial board of one of them, that is inflammatory bowel disease, which is a very, its impact factor is 5 point something now. And it is a very reputed journal in the field of gastroenterology. Now that also starts with World Journal of. All their journals are World Journal of. And this particular set of journals, World Journal of Pharmacy, World Journal of Pharmaceutical, and whatever, there are, I think, 4 or 5 journals set of. You will find the same person as the editorial board of all the 5 journals. They are announcing some, awards also for the best papers and all. I have one paper in that journal. I'm not ashamed to tell you this, because you fall prey to such type of gimmicks. So the journals have insufficient number of board members or too many. Concocted editorial boards, they use the names and photographs of the members without taking their permission. Geographical diversity is not there. You will find all of them from one country, or Arabian countries, or UAE, or European countries. Mainly will be, they will be focusing on that, or a particular geographical, part of the world. Lack of transparency, they will never publish their policies on their website, whether they are following COP guidelines or WAME guidelines, they will never tell you. They will not have any archives because they have to disappear after 2-3 years, right? Begins operations with a large fleet of journals, too many journals, and all of them, they might have different domains, or they might be multidisciplinary. Please be aware and stay away from multidisciplinary journals. Please. Provides insufficient information or hides information about author fees. They will not tell that it is a paid journal first, but when accepted, then they will tell you. It's a surprise invoice that you will receive in the mail. Okay, one more thing. They will not allow the search engines like Google to crawl through their published content. So if you put a keyword, you will never be directed to these journals, because they have configured it in such a way that their published content never gets in the keywords or in the hits. That's why they will never get citations, because no one is having access to those papers through search engines. They might have copy proof locking their PDFs, thus making it harder to check for plagiarism. They lock the content. So even if you run it through the plagiarism, because of the locking, you cannot come to know the similarity index. The journal's mission is something different. The name is something different. Generally, The names of the journal will be European Journal of, now all of us know European Journal of Medicinal Chemistry. European, there are so many good journals which start with European, but there are some fraudulent journals also which start with European. I think European Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, or I don't know really, but recently I have been receiving mails from them, which is a fraudulent journal. So Canadian, Swiss, this kind of prefixes you will find, which are purposely put as prefix to make it sound like international. They will falsely claim the impact factors. They will send you spam mails. They will say that they are Scopus Index, whereas they are not. No check for plagiarism, self-plagiarism, image manipulation, nothing. They will ask you to suggest the reviewers and will use those reviewers. Mind you, the reputed journals never send the papers to your suggested reviewers. They ask you to suggest reviewers to expand their database, but they are going to send the papers to different reviewers than what you have suggested. But the predatory journals, they will make sure that it goes to the suggested one so that it is accepted, because you know that reviewer. That's why you have quoted him. They will republish the papers already published somewhere else, because they are not tracking whether there is a similarity in the content. How they will come to know that it has been published before? This is the highest risk. Same paper being published, redundant publication, duplicate publication from translated papers without taking permission from the original publisher. They will use that they are, leading publisher in the community unnecessarily. Okay, one more thing. The contact us information will tell you the address. And if you check that address on the Google Maps, you will never find it. They generally use the PO boxes. Okay? They will not give you a legitimate address. You will not be able to contact them. Their mail IDs will always be ending with Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or Reddit. If the journal is legitimate, they must have their official email ID, which tells the name of the journal somewhere, either the acronym or the full. Copy editing, proof editing is not done. I will have to rush through this because I want, how much time I have? I'm 12 o'clock. I had to finish this. Is it?
Ma'am, we can have a couple of minutes for sure.
Can we?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Yeah. They will copy the author guidelines from some other reputed journal without having their own, inputs about it, with some minor editing, and they will use it verbatim as it is, and they will post it. And insufficient contact information, they will make sure that you are unable to reach them. Once you pay, they are going to delink themselves with you. Some of the journals are excessively broad. Now tell me, dentistry, business administration, and civil engineering, what it has got to do with each other? You will find these three domains together as the journal name. Okay, so they are keeping it excessively broad. Even the language people also can publish their papers. Humanities can also publish the paper. Humanities, science and biotechnology. I mean, how can science and biotechnology is fine, but humanities and science? Why to publish these papers together? They will use the license images of the websites of other legitimate journals, and they will use excessive spam. We have already seen this. Now, see the example, International Journal of Business, Humanities and Technology. Now, we know highly reputed International Journal of Pharmaceutical. If you read that, no one is going to question. We know the standing. And because of that, now these journals have started using the prefix as international. And whereas there is everything national about them. Nothing international about neither the contributors, nor the editors, nor the reviewers. No one is international, but they are faking it to be an international journal. Okay, they are charging you. Please understand, if they are charging you and if the content is open access, you have the rights. But if a journal is paying, asking for payment and asking you to transfer the rights, you be aware Open access, if you are paying, the copyright should remain with you because it is as per the open access policy. But if they are taking money and asking you to transfer copyrights to them, please be very, very careful. Do not do that. They have very poorly maintained websites. They are not dynamic at all. The long old data will reflect. Okay, if you, there are so many, icons or sub headings in the journal website. You click on editorial board, under maintenance. You click on archives, not updated. You will not find anything when you click on the subheading on the website of the journal. That is another indication. Grammatical errors, and most important thing, if you go to the web pages of these journals, they are invariably using the images from the internet of double helix of DNA, capsules, tablets falling off from the bottles. Have you ever seen such kind of images on the websites of the reputed journals? They need not. They need not do all these things. What they do is only the cover page of the latest issue you will find on their web page, but no other graphics. They need not use. Now, most of the things I have already covered here. Yeah, the ISSNs, they don't give you DOIs, digital object identifier, you know very well. DOI is the unique ID for your published content, which is available online. And no other content on the web can have the same DOI. But these journals will never give you the DOIs to your published content. And they will use the publishers' names will be generally like this, network, center, association, institute, these kind of, suffixes they will use as the name of the publisher. They will have a lot of advertising on their sites. The website looks very cluttered. It doesn't look clean. It gives a very cluttered look because they are not paying to maintain the website to anyone. Peer review is not there. We have seen this. They are charging you money without providing you any services. And you will not find these journals as a part of Scopus or the reputed abstracting services because they have a very strong vigilant system, very, very strong norms, very staunch about whom to include and whom to exclude. And that's why these journals never find their way in these reputed abstracting services, but you will definitely find them as a part of Google Scholar. Google Scholar is not considered as a reputed abstracting services. Anything which is available online is abstracted by Google. No other criteria is applicable to Google Scholar or Google as in general. You will always find the editor of such journals contributing maximum number of papers, or the reviewers or the members of the editorial board. You will not find any other authors in their journals. Most of them will be the members who are publishing their own work in their own journals. So it's all a goody-goody kind of affair. Geographical diversity you will not find. They will always will guarantee you fast track services. Now, this is all about the characteristic features. Now coming to the open access journals and how do we differentiate them from the predatory journals. Like I said, all open access journals are not predatory in nature. The best examples that one can give of the open access journals which are reputed is Lancet, Scientific Communications, or even our Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, which used to charge 400 and 600 rupees since ages. In 80s also, I remember paying that much amount to IJPS. That time they were a print journal. They were not online. Last several years, they are online now. Still their fees have not increased. That doesn't make IJPS a predatory journal. It is one of the most oldest and reputed journal, even though the impact factor doesn't tally with its standing in the scientific community. Still, it follows a very, very stringent peer review process. And of course, it takes a lot of time to get published in IGPS. That is a different story altogether. So the purpose of open access journal was, like I said, to make the content easily accessible and available to the researchers without paying for that particular paper. But there were these predatory publishers, the counterfeit publishers, who misused this model and started charging for poor content. All paid journals are also not predatory. Please understand. All paid journals are not predatory. All open access journals are also not predatory. You have to just apply the criteria or the characteristics which I have discussed and check for yourself whether they fall in that category or not. And also, I will talk about the delisted journals later on. Many old journals that are published in print form have been charging the authors minimum publication fee or paid charges, but they are not predatory. Like I gave you the example. Lancet is a weekly published medical journal with an open access policy that charges authors heavily, but it is one of the top quartile 1 journals in medicine and science. So there are exceptions. Selecting the right journal. You will ask me the questions. Most of the questions that might be there in your head, I have tried to address them already. Selecting the right journal. How do you do that? And what are the consequences of choosing a bad journal? The money that you are paying is lost. Then it will have a negative impact because people know what are predatory journals. They will not be available on the web for so long. They will disappear. They will start appearing in the delisted journals of the abstracting services, which is announcement in itself that these are predatory journals. And if you are found to plagiarize, there might be consequences that you have to face. Now, coming to white list of legitimate journals. We have been talking about the predatory. Now let us talk about what are the genuine journals and how to find out. So these are the various reputable abstracting services where you can go. And first, I always tell my students, whenever you are about to start writing a manuscript, based on the scope of your work, please shortlist at least 10 journals. How do they do this? They visit the Scopus list of approved journals. They also visit the Scopus delisted journals. They visit UGC delisted. They visit DOAJ delisted, and just try to match whether this journal is in the delisted, whether it is appearing on the Scopus side. Time is short. Otherwise, I would have given you the demonstration of how to go on Scopus, how to find out all the parameters and the matrices are correct or not. So Directory of Open Access Journals, DOAJ, Master Journal List of Clarivate Analytics. Now, please understand, Thomson Reuters was giving the impact factor initially. Now the agency has changed, and now it is the Clarivate Analytics which gives the impact factor and which is linked with the Web of Science abstracting service. Site score is another impact factor type which is given by Scopus. And site score and impact factor, or JCR, Journal Citation Report Impact Factor, by earlier Thomson Reuters, now Clarivate, are the only two acceptable impact factors. Publons, OA, SPA, COPE, WAM, these are the various abstracting services where you can go and just type the domain and you will get the journals which are listed here. Please make sure that what is the period for which they are listed or abstracted. In Scopus, you will find 1998 till 2021, but it is not abstracted in 22. If it is in 22, they will write 2008 till date. That means in 22 also it is abstracted. I will talk about the UGC care list later on. World Association of Medical Editors is another committee like COPE, which gives guidelines to the medical journals and the editors, how the peer review process should be. And we teach the WAM guidelines and COP guidelines to the PhD scholars in one of the courseworks on ethics in research and publication. So this is again, it will help you in identifying the predatory or the pseudo journals, and how should be the code of conduct, how the editors should do their duties, what are their responsibilities. Everything is given here very nicely, how the peer review should be done. So if you are interested, you can visit. What is the UGC CARE list of journals? What do we stand? The CARE stands for what? So it is the academic and research ethics, and the UGC CARE reference list earlier used to give 4 lists. Now they have revised the list after receiving a lot of criticism, and now it is UGC CARE list group 1 and group 2. Group 1 is for those journals which follow the criteria of UGC CARE, and UGC group 2 is all the journals which are indexed by Scopus, Web of Science, or the internationally accepted recognized database. Another important thing I would like to introduce, the concept of you must be hearing now whether the journal is Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4, what it is. Q index is the quartile index, which is given with the view of field or domain specific ranking. So for pharmacy, pharmaceutical sciences, why to rank the journal across all the domains? You can rank the journals as per the pharmacy domain. So in pharmacy domain, what is the standing of so-and-so journal? That is given by Q index, and the Q1 is the topmost 25% journals, followed by Q2, then Q3, and Q4. Cloned journals are different from predatory. Cloned, you can see the clones here, the ship clones in the image. The clone journals, nothing, they do nothing original. They copy paste another journal's website with the same name. So if you want to submit to Acta Chromatographica, you put Acta Chromatographica in the Google, and 2 sites open, 2 websites open. Exactly same. How you are going to differentiate? Write to the editor. Ask that this is the web link, and I am seeing 2 web pages for your journal. Which one is legitimate? I did that. I came across such type of thing for journal. What was that? Planner Chromatography TLC. I saw 2 sites, 2 websites. I wrote, but luckily they said that that site is under maintenance. Both sites are active and both are genuine. But you should be very careful. Okay, so clone journals, fake journals, they verbatim copy everything from other journal, same name, same logo, everything is same, and you are just clueless. 2 impact factors, site score by Scopus, and journal citation report JCR impact factor, that is impact factor as such. So the only difference in the formula is that site score takes into consideration documents of previous 3 years, citations of the previous 3 years, whereas impact factor takes into consideration documents of 2 previous years. I'm not going into the details because time is short. We have already seen how to identify predatory journals. I would like to tell you, if you have ORCID number, have you generated ORCID number for yourself as authors or researchers? If you have not done, please visit the ORCID website, get yourself registered, and have the unique ID for yourself. Once you have that, all your contributions will appear under that ORCID number. Many journals are asking for your ORCID number. The full form is Open Researcher and Contributor ID. It is very, very easy to register yourself. Please get that one, because later on you will find that the publishers are asking for it. Now, Think, Check, and Submit is a global campaign which has been introduced for the benefit of authors, that they have to think about whether the journal is a trusted journal, whether you have to check whether the set criteria they are following, and then submit your work. Now, again, I have less time. Please avoid publishing your papers which are listed in these three lists. Scopus discontinued list. Low quality journals will appear there. DOAJ delisted, low quality. UGC clone journals, fake journals. So you will get list of approved as well as delisted. Refer to both lists before you finalize a journal. These are the 7 online tools that provide journal recommendations. The question is how to find the correct journal. Decide the scope and use these services. Here you can paste your abstract and they will give you the suggestion. Elsewhere Journal Finder, Springer Journal Suggester, Journal Article Name Estimator, Cofactor Journal Selector, all these services are there. And I don't know if you are aware, there is a journal transferring facility also. That if your paper gets rejected by one of the journals of Springer, along with the rejection letter, mail, they will also send you another mail where they are suggesting other journals of Springer where your paper might fit in. And then you need not submit the whole paper again. If you agree and if you select one journal, they will transfer your paper to the other journal and the whole editorial process will start again. This is a very, very good service which is provided by reputed journals. Now, this is the last slide. How can the phenomena of predatory publishing be stopped? How to stop it? First is educating, creating awareness. That's exactly what is being done through this talk and through this conference. Criminalization or the legal implications are still not there. But if such type of systems are introduced, they are definitely going to help in curbing the menace of predatory journals. And if we diminish the focus on publish or perish, if we stop pressurizing the faculty to publish large number of papers, and there are certain journals which are taking actions against these predatory journals by delisting them from their abstracting services. So that is also one of the very important initiatives. If you observe any publication malpractice anywhere, you might ask where to report. You can report to UGC or you can write to Scopus at this email ID, titlesuggestion@scopus.com. Here you can write about your concerns. This is my last slide. Change the approach from publish to perish to publish and flourish. Let us flourish. Let us publish quality papers of which we will be proud of. Only 3-4 papers in your CV, they speak volumes. You need not talk anything because the name itself, जो कहते हैं, बस नाम ही काफी है. So the name is काफी है for the reputed journals. But if your CV is flooded with all the international journal of so and so, and you write no indexing, no impact factor, what kind of impression we are creating? So by adopting this stringent measures, we can curtail the birch of predatory publishing. The threat is unlikely to disappear. Of course, it is not going to disappear as long as the universities use how many publications a scholar has as a criteria for graduation or career advancement. So the ball is in our court, actually, in the court of the university, in the court of the policy makers and the decision makers to think upon these important concerns. And efforts to fight predatory publishing requires awareness, understanding, collaboration, and support from researchers in a collective manner. So the only thing I always quote T.N. Session, who was asked, what can be done to stop corruption? Because corruption is so prevalent. The manipulative streak that we have, it's expressed in all of us to some or the greater extent. The answer of T.N. Session was, you cannot do anything about what others are doing. You do not be a party to corruption. Your contribution, don't be a party to corruption. That is my saying to all of us. Let us not be a party. Let us not fall prey or in the trap of these predatory journals. please check several times before you finalize the journal. And it is easily done. Go to the ISSN, go to the impact factors, go to Scopus, Web of Science, find out the claims, whether they are true or not. Go to the archive, see what type of papers are published. What is the language? Is the English correct? Is the science correct? And then decide to publish in such journals. That's all from my side. Sorry for taking up your time and not sticking to the timelines. But these were important points which I could not miss. Thank you so much, and I am open for questions if at all there are any.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There is one question from Nitisha Soni, ma'am.
Yeah.
So if we find out this kind of journals, like predatory journals, how can we complain about them?
I have given.
Yes, ma'am.
You can complain to UGC.
Yes.
You can write to Scopus. You can write to, if it is open access, you can write to DOAJ also. Earlier, DOAJ, a lot of complaints were there against DOAJ because they were abstracting all open access.
Yes.
Then they delisted 3,300 journals in one go. And now they have improved a lot.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, inspiring and informative talk, ma'am. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Sunila Dhaneshwar, ma'am, for giving an informative session. Each point you mentioned will be helpful for every researcher throughout his life. Ma'am, on behalf of Team Indira College of Pharmacy, I would like to felicitate Professor Dr. Sunila Dhaneshwar, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It
was excellent session, ma'am. Very informative.
Was it? I don't know if it was in the theme of your.
No,
theme of
it actually fit in that as it was apt for the theme. No worries, and it was so eye-opening, and it was a comprehensive picture of what teachers should be doing. And what actually they like it to be arsa dakhola dekh.
Actually, we are very responsible and we have to show the way to our students.
Yes.
Because, and that kind of quality consciousness has to be brought, and they have to be told that it's okay if we are unable to publish,
Correct.
Right.
1 year you are facing the rejections, but through peer review process, if you are submitting to good journals, the kind of comments that you get improves your paper so much. And then instead of going for a low impact, you go for high impact journals.
Right.
After 10 rejections.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. But we have to be patient.
Yes.
Yes.
We as teachers have to be patient.
Then we will not be, monitored by number of publications by all these agencies. Actually, it may start.
Yes.
I always tell students that please report the negative things as well.
Yeah.
Why you should not report the negative things? That yes, it did not happen. We thought it will happen.
There is a journal of negative findings.
Yes. Thank you so much,
But
ma'am.
our pharmacy journals also publish negative results. We have done that. They do publish. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, and really, it was to see all the known faces. Is such a pleasure for me. I can't explain in words. I'm feeling like I am in Pune.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you soon offline also someday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I conclude the session here. In 2 minutes, we'll move to the next session. Thank you so much.
Dr. Gupta, sir, very good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Dayan. How are you?
All good, sir. All good. Yes.
How's going?
All good, sir. Fantastic. Great to have you on the virtual campus at least.
Yep, yeah. Thank you very much. I'm excited. It's a wonderful talk by Dr. Sunila, right? She's the
Yes,
director
yes.
committee.
Yeah, Dr. Daneshwar, ma'am. She is very much here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, ma'am. Hi, ma'am.
Hello, hello.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a scientist here at Triplan Jammu. So I did my PhD from CDRI Lucknow.
Yeah, I saw your credentials in the list of speakers. That's why I've stayed back. I'm here to listen to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to Indira, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Aishwarya, we can start.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Team ICP, I would like to welcome you all for the 4th day of AICTE-sponsored ICP National Conference on Good Pharmacy Educational Practices. It's my great privilege to introduce to our next speaker, Dr. Prasun Gupta. Dr. Prasun Gupta has over 20 years of research experience in the field of traditional Indian medicines and terrestrial, microbial, and marine natural product chemistry. Dr. Gupta obtained his BS and MS degree in pharmacy of DAVV Indore. He has started his career as a research scholar in the field of natural products chemistry at NIPER Mohali, where he associated with projects of national importance, development of herbal pharmacopoeia for ISM drugs for quality standards of traditional medicines of India. Further, he obtained his PhD degree in natural product chemistry in 2007 from CDRI, Lucknow. Dr. Gupta moved to USA for advanced training in the area of NPs, first at UGA, Athens, then to FAU, Boca, where he was actively engaged in development of high output methods for identification of bioactive metabolites from natural products. Later, he applied this methodology to Ayurvedic crude drug Shankh-Pushpi and discovers several bioactive compounds for the standardization of Shankh-Pushpi based Ayurvedic formulations. At present, he is working as principal scientist at CSIR IIM Jammu and focusing on phytochemical standardization of rare Ashtavarga plants. He was the lead investigator in historic development of first phytopharmaceutical, with Sun Pharma from India getting into clinical trials for COVID-19. He has published over 45 scientific papers, which has more than 2,000 citations and 8 published book chapters. He has been awarded many travel grants and research funding to carry out his research. Currently, his lab has research funding from CSIR, DST, Ayush, and ICMR to explore traditional medicines for new drug discoveries. He has delivered several invited talks in India and as well as abroad. He is also associated with national and international journals in different capacities. He is a life member of various research societies. So, with this brief introduction, I would like to request Dr. Prasun Gupta to begin his talk.
Okay, thank you. Can you close this slide so I can share my
Yes, sir.
slides here? So I'm stopping my video so that because in Jammu sometimes the connectivity is not very well. So you can hear me well. So I'm stopping my video here. Thank you, Dr. Anaga, the principal, the Indira College of Pharmacy, and Dr. Dayanand, vice principal, for inviting me to attend this online conference. I'm really very much impressed with Dr. Sunila for a wonderful talk. I'm not a very good communicator as she is, and I don't feel like I'm that comfortable an expert really to suggest or discuss how to write a grant effectively. But Dr. Dayanand has requested me to do this, so I will try my level best really to communicate, to give some feedback that how the grant should be written and designed to get a funding. Because most of the times when I go to the conference, I met many young researchers from the private universities always complaining about not getting grants. What they complain, the most of the grants going to government funding agencies. This is true in most of the cases, but I think there is some reason also why they are not getting grants that we address here. We'll discuss how the grant should be written and what should we focus on the grant. I think granting of funding agency are not biased as such, but obviously preference is given to the some of the bigger labs because the infrastructure they have, because there's sometimes uncorrelated funding requirement, or sometimes the PIs are not expert. That is the reason, main reason why most of the grant get rejected. So I will discuss a bit about that. Before I start, I think I should introduce myself. I'm Dr. Prasun Gupta, currently associated with National Institute here at Jammu, that's CSIR, Indian Institute of Integrated Medicine. It's located in the heart of this, Jammu and Kashmir, and you can see the beautiful campus that we have here in Jammu. Okay, so first I briefly introduce to my institution, because I don't know many of you who's sitting there whether they have visited Jammu or not, or they have seen this lab or not, but I really would like to take you the tour of the institution before I really start. So as far as this institute concerned, is a part of the CSIR, and all of you know the CSIR, the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and headquartered in Delhi. So CSIR has a dynamic network of 38 national laboratories. So in the CSIR umbrella, we have 38 laboratories, and they are basically in the every part of this country, almost in one each lab in each state. And Lucknow is lucky that we have a couple of labs there, but most of the state has only one lab. So in addition to these 38 national laboratories, we have 39 outreach centers, 3 innovation complexes, and 5 research units in different parts of the countries. As of now, the CSIR research and development expertise, we are almost more than 3,500 scientists are involved, and we do have more than 8,000 scientific and technical personnel who are assisting with the different goals of this CSIR. As far as this CSIR is concerned, most recently CSIR has bagged a 9th rank in the global list of the 1,200 scientific government institutions in terms of their research outcome. So I think it's a great achievement for India that we have secured 9th position as a whole. In addition, that CSIR covers a wide spectrum of science and technologies that start from the radio and space, physics, oceanography, geophysics, chemicals, drug genomics, biotechnology, nanotechnology, to the mining and the instrumentation, environmental engineering, and information technology. So all these laboratories, 38 laboratories what I'm talking about, all are involved in different aims in the mission. So like as far as the triple M concerned, we were basically focusing on drug discovery from nature products. So this is basically a nature product driven drug discovery laboratory, but other labs are involved in different areas and with different missions. Okay. So it also provides the significant technological interventions in many areas with regards to the societal effects, which include environment, health, drinking water, food, housing. And as far as the CSIR also has the biggest role in science and technology, human resource development. Nowadays, India is called as a pharmaceutical hub. I think the CSIR is. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Just can you please start the slide share? It will give us a full screen view.
You cannot share. You cannot see my slides.
We can, but
can you see now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. But sir, if you can press the F5 key from the keyboard, it will give a full
say
screen
it again.
F5 key from the keyboard.
F5.
Yes, sir.
You can see now my slides.
No, sir.
No, sir, no, it is not waiting. Earlier it was visible.
Just actually you can't see, right? I will share it again.
Okay, sir. Yes. Yeah. Okay, sir.
You can see now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can see that. Yes.
Okay. CSIR, as far as they have the biggest role in the development of the pharmaceutical sector in India. India is now known as the biggest pharmaceutical hub in the world, actually. So most of the science and technology and the human resource developed through in the CSIR and over the last 50 years is the biggest contribution, in spite and in addition to the research work that we are doing. At the last, the CSIR has granted more than 90% of the US patent to any Indian publicly funded R&D organization. On an average, CSIR files about more than 200 Indian patents and 250 foreign patents per year. And about 14% of CSIR patents are licensed. I think it's a good number because now CSIR also focusing on the quality patents. Earlier, most of the patents were filed, but most of them are sold, but now the CSIR has clearly defined the policy that you patent it. Obviously, patent is important, but try to patent a good thing which is sellable in the market. Now we are making India program, that CSIR is very strict about patenting anything. You should have a good technology to patent so that it can be sold to any company and it can be marketable. So they are not allowing anymore to do the patenting like anything like earlier. Okay, so this is picture view of the front gate of IIIM. So just a brief review about my laboratory. That laboratory was established initially in 1941, which is before independence of this India, as a research and production center known as the Drug Research Laboratory of Jammu and Kashmir state, and was later taken over by the CSIR in 1957. You can see this is one of the oldest lab of the CSIR. Okay, so in 1957, when it was taken over by CSIR, it was renamed as a regional research laboratory, Jammu. But in the view of its contributions and expertise and the core strength in the area of natural chemistry, the mandate of the institute was redefined in 2005, and it was renamed again to Indian Institute of Integrative Medicines. So now this laboratory is known as CSIR IIIM Jammu. The current mandate of the IIIM is to discover new drugs and therapeutic approaches from natural products, both from the plants and microbial origin, enabled by biotechnologies to develop technologies, drugs, and products of high value from the national and international market. So this is the current mandate that we are focusing using different infrastructure, and we do have here. So I'm quickly going through all these slides. So in addition to the Jammu lab, we do have a very beautiful campus in Srinagar also. It's very old campus established in 1971, which was inaugurated by our vice president of that time, C. Subramaniam. So this center is still working. Some of the scientists work there. In addition to this, we do have a small campus also in the Ladakh and some of the high altitude area also. So these are two main campus. We have some other campuses also, but they are not well known, but they are some of our research site only. Okay. So as far as the core strength of CSI is concerned, we do have a WHO standard CGMP pilot plant facility. So I think this is the backbone of this institution. I think this is one of the finest established CGMP pilot level, the pilot plant we do have in public sector in this country, which cater the need of our drug discovery programs and also help the North Indian small pharmaceutical company to produce a CGMP grade material for their trials and for different research purposes. In addition to that, we do have NABL accredited quality control laboratory, and we do have a state-of-art industrial scale fermentation facility, which is again the biggest in the public sector in India. We do have a fermenter from 1 liter to 500 liters. So it caters lot of small biotech companies, they come here and they do use our services for the production of antibiotics or some small things, probiotics kind of things in our 500 or 250 liters, basically the fermenter units. We do have Kilo Lab for scale up of our synthetic technologies. We do have a very good Janaki Amal herbarium, I think, which is the backbone of this institution. Why? Because any drug discovery, when we think about from the natural product, I think we do characterize the plant resources very well. For that, we do need a different laboratories. So this is a herbarium that it started 50 years back. We have collection of more than 5,000 species of the plants of this high altitude, Jammu and region. So which is very good repository, one of the best in the country. And we do have plant herbarium, we have food repository, and recently last time we started technology in this incubator. I think most of the big places have this TBI facility. Government started to promote small entrepreneur, and they do have good ideas, or if they had idea, they don't know how to go forward. So I think these are the TBI units. They help them to become an entrepreneur. This is a small picture that how our food repository here placed. So we provide services throughout the India. Anybody who want to work on the plant species have any issues, because right plant identification is very, very crucial when you start research work. So if you need expertise, simply write to us. We are happy to identify and give you the access number. Here we have a good botanist, and they have a capability to identify any of the plant species in India. This is our CGMP facility. This looks like a very small industry. This is some of the picture that how it is established inside. We have plant material dryers, grinding area, extraction units, spray dryer, vacuum tray dryer, vacuum pan dryer. So we do all. We have all this facility in our plant. We have formulation facilities, bin blender, cone mill machine, fluid bed dryer, shifter, rapid mixture, pest preparation machine. We have syrup manufacturing unit, second packaging material, bottle filling machine, and online filling machine also we do have. So it is state of art, basically the CGMP plant we do have. We have a quality control lab associated with it, because when you are producing a CGMP grade material, we need a quality control at every stage. So we do have some of the what we call all apparatus required for the basically monograph testing of any of the pharmaceutical drugs. These are some of the instruments that we have in our quality control facility. This is our NABL accredited lab. It's a 50-year-old lab. It's well established, well equipped with all the modern and scientific instruments required for the drug discovery program. Now the phytopharmaceutical are there, the nutraceutical there, a lot of food grade material testing centers. So we cater the services in North India. So we get samples from the North India, every place, for the testing and certification purpose. These are the inside picture of this quality control and this NABL accredited lab. We have HKTLCs, GCMS, HPLC, we have LCMS, ICPMS, all the modern instrument facility we have to cater. This is our GLP in vivo laboratory. I think when we do the testing in vivo drugs, we do need to procure animals from GLP standards in vivo laboratories. And recently it was established 3 years back. So it's a state-of-art facility. So we cater the need of research for in vivo testings. Anybody who's required animals, they can write to us. We provide GLP basically animal facility. Okay. So in addition, fermentation, I think big role in the discovery. A lot of antibiotics, a lot of probiotics are basically developed using fermentation. So this is our facility. A lot of technologies has been developed last couple of years, and this is a well-known facilities in government sector. These are some of the picture of the glimpse of this. Okay, so this was the background. So it looks very fascinating when we look the facility that we do have, but definitely I think we get funding from government organizations to establish these facilities, but really to keep these facilities going, we need a fund. We definitely need a fund, because nowadays government is not giving good fund. They give to establish it, but after that you have to run it. Now government asks us to generate 30% of our own revenue. So it's a big load on our basically shoulders. Basically, how to generate fund to keep these facilities going in addition to the lab work, right? So this is what is requirement of present time. We know this India's government funding a lot, but keep these kind of facilities running. It's very tough. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm placed in natural product chemistry division here, and my research area is basically I'm a natural product chemist by training. So I do have expertise on the plants, microbes, the marine, and the marine training I've got in the United States. And when I come back, I've started here. And the NPC microbes, we are working on the endophytes to develop and identify a drug-like molecules from all these different sources. Over the period, basically, we are working in different sectors. So I joined this laboratory in 2013, and last 8 years, actually, I'm contributing in the different domain like private sector research, basic research, study sector, ACSR activities, and societal activities. We do have a lot of responsibility in all sectors because now doing government job, it looks good. If somebody is placed in government sector, but I think a big responsibility and a lot of things coming up which keep us very busy to deliver. So these are the sectors we are performing. So as far as the funding is concerned, my laboratory, I'm just giving brief view before to discuss how to design a grant. I'm really very lucky to get a lot of grants as the PI and the co-PI. In the last 8 years, I secured almost 13 grants in different capacities. Most of the grants we come from the CSIR through their mission project. You can see that the initial grant that we secured, this PEN CSIR in 12th five-year plan in 2012, and it was up to 2017. At the same time, we got another grant with stem cell biology and the regenerative medicines. We have ongoing project on natural chemistry of the microbes of high altitudes. We do have a natural chemistry plants and the pharmacological studies. This project is still going. And we have phytopharmaceutical mission is the new DCGI guidelines came to develop a phytopharmaceutical drugs, basically, which is bridge between the modern drugs and the traditional Ayurvedic drugs. We have a sickle cell anemia, sickle cell mission project. We have aroma mission project. All these projects are funded mostly through the CSIR, and I'm involved in these projects in different capacities. In addition to that, I do have funding and had funding from the different agencies also. We have two sub projects on the marine natural products, and obviously from microbial project. And we do have an industrial project. I'm working with the Sun Pharma in 2017. That we started working on the fundamental phase where we working on the plants. Then we came into the advanced phase. Now, I mentioned that COVID came and we started working on this molecule for the COVID, and luckily this drug applies. And now currently in almost a phase 3 trial started with Sun Pharma, and I think very soon we have a COVID first pharmaceutical drugs for the COVID treatment. So this is my contribution to the industries. And currently we have a lot of funds. One recent funding we got from the development of fermentation with Ayushpath. So I think this COVID time we have Ayushpath, everybody has taken. I think without this Ayurvedic support, I think it was very difficult for us really to cope up with this COVID disaster, right? So Ayush64 Ayushpath was the two leading Ayurvedic products sold in this country at that time. So what is, we have a thought process that fermentation, most of the Ayurveda products are fermented products. So if we ferment this Ayushpath, we have the possibility that we can increase this activity multiple fold. So that's how we got this grant from the Ayush Ministry. And recently we have started funding a Center for Marine Therapeutics in association with NIPER Kolkata. So I'm the PI from here. In addition to that, we have some more funding from different work. So keeping this funding as a background, so I feel a little bit confident that I can really share something that how the grant should be written. Because out of these grant, I think my most of 70% grant I got what I written. So I think I can share something with the young researchers sitting in the Pune and other part of this country listening me, that how the grant should be written, so that obviously they can get the grant and they can do good science, because obviously Indian science need a support from everyone really to come up with the solution that our society is facing. Oh, these are some achievements that we have got. Product development side, like my one vertical drugs in phase 1 trial based on the plant Butpodia, Another one, as I mentioned about Sun Pharma, it's a phase 2 trial was done. Third is started. So phase 2 trial by Sun Pharma is already completed. Some of the basic research we are doing, we are contributing to generate natural libraries for research purposes. So I do not have a number of good publications because our laboratory is main focus is the product development now. And so we discourage do the publication. Obviously, publication is very, very important for the PhD students. So we do little bit publications. We more focus on the quality publication over here. So I have a small number of publications. So this is my overall achievement in the last 8 years here. So now come on the topic of today, the design and the writing effective research grants. There was a Dr. Norm in USA. What he mentioned, there's no grantmanship that will turn a bad idea into a good idea. Okay, so what it means that to get a grant, you have to have a good idea. That's the first criteria to get a grant. If you don't have a good idea, doesn't matter how many times you write a grant, you will not get a funding. So idea is a primary thing that you should have to have a good idea. Okay, only then you can get a grant. But there are many ways to discuss a good idea. So you can develop a good idea from the bad idea also by discussing with your colleagues, by discussing with your experts or that particular area. Most of the time when we see the grants coming from the private organizations, it's very superficial grants. A lot of discorrelation in terms of their PI expertise and their funding requirements. And that is the main two reasons. What I see that rejection rate is high. So I think if we work on those, I think rejection rate will be low. Okay, so first, what is grant? Grant is basically a conditional gift or the funds given by the funding agencies, which is with linked responsibilities. Okay, so when you are getting fund from any funding agency, you have a responsibility to deliver. But don't think that you have got a funding and you will just get funding after 2 years, you submit any reports. So we have seen when we review the reports submitted by most of the researchers, nothing has been done. So that's the other reason when you have background is black, you will not get F funding. If you're lucky to get a first funding, if you don't produce good work, now there's a ranking system, grading system has started by CRB and even the DBT. So after your project evaluation, after completion, they evaluate the project and grade that what is basically this project is good, satisfactory, very good, or excellent. So if you are in the good category, more than good is important to get an F funding. So you have to be careful when you get grant, do work to expect a second grant from the same funding agency. Very simple. Okay. So about the funding, most of the funding source identifies the problems they want to address, but no outcome is shown. So funding is a different kind of. So there are some funding agency, they have their own problem. They want solution from you. Okay. So like see a lot of mission comes from the different DBT or DST, they come up with a problem. If you want to work on sickle cell, right? In I think 2017, CSI started a grant like proposal asking on sickle cell. So we have to write a grant because they have a problem and now they want PI to write a project to give them a solution. Okay, so this is the way that funding agency work in different programs. Another one, that idea originated from the grant itself. But other way, this you may have a good idea, you can write for the funding also. So there are different categories of fundings are available between all major funding agencies like ICMR, BST, DBT. I don't know much about AICT. They have a different kind of grant as well. But all these four major funding agencies, and they come up with their own mission, or sometimes they ask you to send a proposal of their own interest. Okay. So grants are different types. Demonstration grants mostly for agriculture people because there are a lot of things they want to demonstrate at field level for societal purpose. So that kind of the grant seekers can look up to those grants. Only then they will get a grant. There are equipment grants. A lot of grants by the funding agencies given to for the infrastructure development to the private laboratories and private institutions and the research laboratory as well. And there are some of the private funding, like the foundations also give this instrumentation grants. So if your purpose is to get instrumentation facility for even the teaching purpose, a lot of small instrument is required. So you can write to these funding agencies. They may be happy to give you some fund to establish your instrument facility in your private institutions. There are training grants, there are fellowship, there are laboratory research grants for the basic research. Okay, research and product development grants. So now most of the grants that these funding agencies are throwing the websites are for research and product development. So now Make in India is the backbone, and behind that, every funding agency is throwing money only to the project where they can deliver something to the society. So now Indian government has started less funding to the basic research, I think, which is bad in my way, because every applied research only come if you have basic knowledge available in the domain. Without basic knowledge, modern science cannot be done. But as of now, this is the case. So what should be the qualities of effective grant writing? The quality of the idea and its appeal to the funding agency. I think first you have to have a very good idea, and also you have to write in a way that it should appeal to the funding agency. For example, ICMR, if I talk about the ICMR. So ICMR, there is the first area of the ICMR. They work on neglected disease, they work on the cancer, they work on the immunomodulation. So if you write any grant which is not a mandate of ICMR, no matter what, you will not get fund, right? So your idea should match with the requirement of the funding agency at that time, right? So when you are approaching, you have to read carefully the website, what is the mandate for these couple of initial years of that funding agency, where they are seeking proposals. Accordingly, you make your proposal and submit. And also, you have to write in a good way so that it should appeal to the first reader and the reviewer. Number two is the ability to communicate clearly and concisely. A lot of time we see the proposals are written like volume of number of pages are there, but there's no concrete. Nobody simply has the time to read the project proposal. So when we get proposal is 30 page, 40 page, nobody has time to read those proposals. We only focus on the objectives. What are the objectives of the proposal? So objective section should be very good. Okay, so you have to communicate your whole, basically, what we call the mission of your project and that objective itself. And it should be clearly and concisely written, so that the reviewer can easily understand what you want to do from your project. Rote methodology is does not matter too much, but I think objective, if you impress the reviewer at first stage, I think you have a good chances to getting that grants. Now, what is idea? An idea is something that is only exists with you. If you have unique idea, it is fundable. Okay, any vague idea also can be fundable. Okay, your task is to present the idea in a fundable proposal. So idea has to be a proposal which you can get funding from the funding source. Take a vague idea and identify specific problems. So nowadays, there are the funding, special funding, what we call high risk, high reward from the DST. If you are visiting the SCRB website, so they have launched a program. This is open throughout the year. High risk, high reward means if you have any idea, it doesn't look real. Okay, it's imaginary idea even, but if this idea has the capability to change the society in a big way, still you can throw your project there, and there's no limit for the funding. So don't feel that if you have an out of the box idea, it is not fundable. It is fundable, but you have to approach the right agency and the right program. But if you have a big idea, very imaginary ideas, and if you put that project into SCRB core grant, it will not fund it, because the core grants basically have a funding limit up to 50 lakhs. So if you have a very good idea, you want to send the missile to the somewhere, right? So it cannot be basically done in 50 lakhs rupees of money, right? So you have to understand, you have to read proposal guidelines very carefully, what is the requirement for the funding. Accordingly, you send your proposal. Otherwise, it will not be funded. Okay. So other thing that a lot of people not got project because there's a fear for rejection. Because I heard with a lot of my colleagues, they are working in the private universities, and they are really frustrated, and they have fear that if I submit a proposal, I will not get it. But believe me, if you not submit, how will you get the project? You have to keep trying. But what is the reality? If you look at, only one proposal out of 5 is turned down because the idea wasn't good enough. Okay. What is the other reality? A rejection proposal is worth about the 10,000 of free advice. What is the other reality? The success rate is higher for the proposals turned the second time. So say, for example, if you submitted a project to any funding agency, and if it is rejected, don't worry. You just read the reviewer comments properly, what they have written, because nowadays you are also getting feedback from the reviewer why your project is rejected. Work on those and resubmit it. If it is rejected, doesn't mean your idea is not good. Maybe your idea is maybe incomplete. There may be a problem with your funding, if your PI experience on some other way. Work on that. Resubmit the proposal. Chances is very high when you submit a project second time. And third reality, the success rate on third submission is almost 1:1. So if you submit second time, if you are rejected, don't get confused, don't get frustrated. You just work on proposal again. If you think your idea is good, you again submit the proposal. So you have to keep trying. It's like giving the exam. If you failed in one exam, it doesn't mean that you cannot qualify next time. Or if you unqualified next time, you have to appear in third time. This is how we do our academic, right? So similar in the proposal, you write it and just wait. Let's see what happens. So simple idea is that just do it. Just throw your proposal. Good idea to the funding agency, whether you get it or not get it. And if it is not, you are not getting it, work on it. What is the problem? Where you are lacking? They suggest. Maybe you don't have a compatible PI in the project. Maybe your idea might not be good. Maybe your fund you are asking is not basically compatible with the work you are proposing. I remember one time I got a proposal from one university from Chennai, and he say they want to do the in vivo testing of the some pharmaceuticals they have developed, some formulation, and asking only 7 lakhs rupees. What the thought process behind it? Okay, in 7,000 rupees, he asked a project fellowship only. They didn't even write written to the consumable. So what I feel about what he is going to do with the 7 lakhs rupees, so straightforward, the rejection will come out. So I know that just sometimes you feel that, okay, if you ask a small amount of the money, you will get the project. No, it's not true. Project should be aligned properly. Good idea is first thing, and then what your objectives are, you have to work on that. That object, how much money is required. Accordingly, you have to ask money. And then that has to be aligned with the what we call the objective of the grants. Okay, different grants or different projects of the SCRB or DVT and the different funding cappings. There are some grants they have no capping at all. Like mission project we submit, there are no capping. You can even ask 100 crores. Okay, but it should be satisfactory. We should impress the reviewers. Okay, we can do it. This is good for society. So even you get the 100 crores rupees, no problem. But your idea should be good. So what are the key to the success to get funding is the innovation and the creativity is very, very important. What is looking for the new solution to old problems? So here, I think most of the projects I receive and review, it's basically formulation development. Now, a lot of private universities are forcing their professors or also young researchers to do science. So most of them do the formulation development. Sometimes you get a good proposal, sometimes you get a bad proposal. Like one time I got a proposal that I want to do the develop a formulation with the Taxol with antibiotic. What is the sense of this? It's a combination drug. Okay, I want to develop a combination drug with Taxol and the antibiotic. Taxol with the B complex. So there's no correlation. So okay, if there is a problem with some molecule, then some what we call as combination therapy may come into picture, and with whom it should be combined. That I think it's a matter of the study. You cannot combine anything and do the formulation development and do for the trials. Okay, so if you have a good idea, old problems and the new solution, so you can basically plan it. And how do you create your creativity? So creativity comes because you have to think about, say for example, if you're taking any immunosuppressive drugs, for example, right? So there are a lot of issues of secondary infections there. Okay, so you can think about if you're making a cocktail or if you're doing a combination therapy, if you're developing a combination formulation, basically. So you have to combine with the proper drug, which can basically help you to basically remove or decrease the chances of secondary infection. Like the drug we developed good for you in phase 1 trial, this is basically anti-ulcer drug, right? At the same time, what we studied is that herbal formulation also basically inhibiting Helicobacter pylori infection. So how it correlates when person has an anti-ulcer activity for the longer time, like ulcer, longer time, they get Helicobacter infection in the body. For that, the doctor prescribes the antibiotics. Okay, this is a true prescription for the doctors with ulcer with antibiotics. So if my formulation is also inhibiting the Helicobacter pylori, it's a win-win situation. A formulation which is anti-ulcer in nature, at the same time it's killing the Helicobacter pylori microbes. So that combination works pretty well and can fly and good in the farm industry. So this kind of thought process you should have. Sometimes it come by accident also, but you have to think what time of the cocktail you have to come up and what time of the projection of the formulation has to be given. And another big problem that I face, that most of the researchers, they don't understand the project requirements. So in that case, it's a very simple thing that you just call the scientist in charge of that project program. But my understanding, 85% of all the successful grant seekers have had contact with the scientist in charge. If I have confusion about any grants, I straightforward, because they are an address of scientist in charge of that program. Just call him. He said, okay, I want to submit a proposal in this program. How much fund it will give? You say 50 lakhs. So just now think whether your project objectives can be finished in 50 lakhs. If no, then submitting project in that project and that program is useless. You will not get funding, right? So there are a lot of information. What are the priorities areas? Maybe they will say, okay, our priorities is and developing antibiotics in this project. So if your project is in that line, submit. If your project is malaria, if submit in that program, it will not fund it. So it's better always to call a program officer associated with that project program. Okay, sir, I want to submit project. This is my expertise. I want to submit project. Do you have some suggestion in terms of how much fund I can ask and how many PI we can have? Okay, because there is a problem. A lot of time we see the project proposal is somebody pharmaceutical expertise want to do natural product chemistry without co-PI. How you will be funded? Those projects will be funded. Very straightforward, it will be rejected because you don't have expert on the board as a co-PI. One project I received, some person want to do in vivo activity in one college. They 20 lakhs rupees. I will do the in vivo activity somewhere. Somewhere is where. It's basically you are throwing like in the sky. You have to clearly mention that. Okay, we do the outsourcing for this activity at XYZ places. And if you have a collaborator at some national institution or a private industries, you can mention the name. And don't forget to get the prior acceptance from that institution. So if you want some work I have to do for you, you have to ask me first. Okay, sir, I'm writing a grant. Can you characterize my molecule? If I say you consent, yes, you can submit my letter with the project. Then it's possible that, okay, the reviewer will say, okay, this guy has expertise in this. He doesn't have expertise here, but he has a consent from the expert in this area. He will help in this project. Your project will go through. So project PI combination is must. Idea should be good. And the funding, what you are requiring, basically, it should align with the ideas. You cannot do phase 1 clinical trial in 1 crore rupees. That project I reviewed, they're asking only 80 lakhs, 85 lakhs, and I will complete the phase 1 trial of any formulation. How those projects will be funded? It's simply understanding that he's faking. He will not do anything because it's not compatible. Because doing phase 1 trial, you need a lot of money, at least 4 or 5 crore rupees. It's impossible to get those funding, even if your idea is good. So to write a good grant, first thing is foundation. How you lay your foundation. So first thing is, what is your vision for your work, that what you want to do? What contribution to the field are you hoping to make? Like this is the objective. What you want to do with that project? How it will help the society? Do you have some preliminary work? It's always, if you have some preliminary work with your project, that's always, I think, a plus. Okay, what we reviewers see, okay, you want to address this problem, you have done some work, now you want to extend it. That's why you need a funding, right? So if you have preliminary work, a lot of the proposal, we don't see the preliminary work. So primary work nowadays is very much required. Okay, for that purpose, I think the private universities, all the principals may be sitting there, they should help their young researchers to give them some fund so that they can generate some like primary work in the lab to get funding. Don't precise, okay, get funding. How they will get if they don't have primary work? It's not possible for them. Number 2, have you established any collaborator? As I mentioned, collaboration is the key. For those young researchers, they are starting their career, want to get a good grant, collaborate with the good lab. No problem. Somebody will say no, don't frustrate. Contact others in the area you want to work. You just find the lab where the scientists are sitting or researchers are sitting. What is the background? If that background is matching with your ideas, ask them to contribute in the project. Maybe he will put take a lot of share from your funding, but at least you will generate some data that will help you to get next funding. So collaborators is must, and that has to be expertise with and aligned with your ideas of your project. Number 4, are you well informed about the prior results in the field? Yes. So there is the option when you write project proposal, what is known, right? In India and abroad. So I think literature search is very, very important. Don't throw any idea without any literature. Maybe most of the time the VC project, A lot of publication, a lot of research work already has been done on those ideas. So those ideas will never get accepted. Okay, so prior literature search is very, very important. And from reading, and read also, and see the where's the vacuum, where you can contribute. On then you make your proposal, you will chances of you getting funded will be very high. What is fifth? What will be the grant funding allow you to do? In addition, this like grant funding is not only research purpose. These grants also for sabbatical. Maybe there is a possibility that you can writing a grant, and maybe you want to do some work outside also. So you can get the sabbatical grants out of that funding, research equipment, faculty course development, and travel support also. So in addition to research support, you can ask for this kind of support also that may be associated with the overall development of your expertise linked with the project ideas. Always plan ahead. Okay. So say for example, if you want to looking for the fund for the next year, you plan from now, like the way we do when we go for the picnic, when we go for the vacation, what we plan 1 month ahead. So lots of time what we see, okay, if I Google it, okay, there's a funding deadline coming up next week, write anything and throw it. Chances of rejection is very high. If you want to get funding, have an idea and work on it. Just plan ahead. 1 year before you start your planning, okay, you want to submit a proposal, you design it, discuss with your friend, and discuss with the like an expert in that area, and you submit it. Don't throw it. Like writing anything will not attract funding. Very simple. Like the exam, you write anything, you will not get marks. Did you? No. Simply like funding. Work backward from when you need the money. Let the project be the driver for how much you are seeking. Okay, like I mentioned again. So your project funding, what is requiring, should be aligned with the objective you're planning to do. Okay, so what outcome you will give and how much money you're asking. It should be aligned. If anything is unaligned work, you will not get funding. And meet the internal funding deadline also. So for this, funding is very, very important. Basically, why? Because you need to generate primary data. Search for the funding. I think this is also a very important component, because we only know ki ICMR, DBT, DST, and CSR can fund us. But in addition, there's a lot of funding foundations are there. Private agencies, private funding organizations, research foundations are there. What we call this WHO funds. We get Bill Gates Foundations, Reliance Foundation, Tata Foundation. There are a lot of funding agencies. They also fund the research. So don't not only rely on the core funding agencies. That's why the funding search is very, very important. So you just keep trying through Google. What are the funding options for you in addition to these ones? And see your idea is matching with their vision, their mission. If yes, you can throw the funding. You can throw your idea there. Submit your project proposal there. And don't forget to call the program officer to see how much they fund, what is the current priorities. If that matches with your idea and your proposal, you simply fund, like submit it. Don't afraid to submit. You will get funding. Okay. So there are the online sources where you can get information. There are research foundations, private funding agencies are there, and obviously Google through also. There is international funding can also be attracted. A lot of organizations, research foundations, and private foundations outside, they also fund the research in India. Like one of my friend, he got what we call HPLC from Humboldt Foundation recently in Amethi, Delhi. Okay, but he was doing some work in synthetic chemistry and some project he needed something. He written the Humboldt Foundation. He got 12 lakhs rupees from the Humboldt Foundation to get a HPLC in his lab. So searching, and if you are basically aligned with their mission, chances of getting high. Okay, so after doing search, see, is this the right source for you? Are you eligible? First thing, are you eligible to get funding or eligible to submit your project? Does your goal meet the funder's mission? Mission is very important. Does the grant size fit the project? Our grant का एक size होता है, right? Every grant has a size, like what we call a young researcher grants होती है, young scientist grants होती है, that's around 30 lakhs. Your core grants which not fund more than 80 lakhs in DST. Okay, so if you're looking 2 lakhs, 2 crores rupees, and if you're submitting in the core research grant, you will not get funding. Okay, so this information should be on table before you submit a proposal. And does the timing work? Somebody says, I will do the phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials in 2 years. It's not justified time, because this required at least 4 or 5 years of time to complete all the phase 1, phase 2 trials. If there is one proposal I see, they have a good formulation. They want to do phase 1, phase 2 trials and period 2 years. How somebody can do this? And asking 5 crores. Simply not possible. So those projects will be rejected straightforward. Okay. The proposal development. When you write a proposal, you have to just what we call, these are the basically checklist to know your audience, where you are sending proposal, write an outline. Okay. Expect to prepare several drafts. Don't think you're writing something and you think it's okay. Okay. You write, then read, write and read, and see a lot of mistakes comes up, and lots of modification will be there, lots of improvement will be there. So if you writing and read multiple times, automatically you will improve your own project. Okay, ask your colleagues to read your proposal because they have a different view. You may be expert, you may be pharmaceutics person, you have another faculty with the pharmaceutics in the same campus, right? You don't shy to share a project. Because I'm submitting, he will know. Just share with it. Share and discuss with me. I'm submitting this project proposal. Give your feedback. If you get a good feedback, sometimes they give critics also. Okay, but this will help you to improve your project. Okay, there are lot of grant writing resources. Okay, like this open edu admin, that link I have given you. So here there are resources and they help you to tell you how to write a grant, effective grant writing. Okay, and make sure when you're writing a proposal, you are answering the reviewer questions in project proposal itself. So what those are? So what kind of the question reviewer want to ask you when they read the proposal? Okay, what is the intellectual merit of the project? How important is the project to advance the knowledge and understanding within its own field or across the field? This is first question that reviewers see in your project. Okay, so you should highlight this. See, okay, when you do this project, when I will do this project, this is the advancement when you get in particular field. So it will strike the reviewer mind. The chances will be high. And what is the broader impact for society? All the projects, what we're doing is for society purpose, drug development, formulation development, or agriculture science, or whatever science we are doing, it's ultimately for society. So what is the broader impact of your project outcome? You don't forget to write and highlight this in your project. Okay. Few more things that you have to take care when you're writing a project. Are the senior personnel qualified enough to contribute in the project? Because I see a lot of problems from the young researchers. The co-PI is the principal of the college. Co-PI is the director of the college, and they have no relevance at all in the project. Okay, so this also goes negative about your project. So I request all the leaders, maybe sitting here, to don't precise to put your name in the project if you really want to get a project. If you have expertise, only jump in the project. If you don't have expertise, please say no, because you can write your own project also. Sometimes they don't want to work, they want to exploit you. Exploitation is there, definitely. So just avoid it. If you have expertise, only that you contribute. If you don't have expertise, just help them. Okay, do it. We help, support. Sometimes to get your support, they write your name or you state forward. Okay, you write my name. If you don't have expertise in the particular area, please don't accept even the co-PI-ship in the project. Number 2 is the project proposal is feasible. So when you write a proposal, don't forget to highlight your infrastructure. Because a lot of time what happened, we write, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But how you will do this? You invite 4 or 5 guests in your home and your gas cylinder is not there. How you can cook food for them, right? Similarly, we look the project also. If you don't have infrastructure, and if you say I will do this, I will do this, and if you're not correlated with this, the chances of getting rejection of your project is high. Okay, so you have to clearly mention my lab has got these facilities which will help me to do this objective of my research work. In addition to that, I need these instruments. Okay, so this kind of work and the other objectives will be fulfilled. That's why we need this instrument. Just proper justification of your requirement should be there in addition to the what you have and how it's justified with the objective of your project. Number 3, are the request fund is appropriate. I think this is a very critical part. Objectives, what you want to achieve, and the fund you are asking. There should be very clear-cut alignment within these two. No phase 1 trial, phase 2 trial can be done in 50 lakhs for sure. No formulation can be developed in 5 lakhs. No research can be done without what we call a consumable money. A lot of time we say we need money only for research scholars. I will do rest of the science. How you do the science without money, right? So don't feel that if you write a small amount, you will get funding. It's not true. Eh? And how will be the project will be evaluated? I think you have to see that how when you have to look yourself as a reviewer when you're submitting project proposal. What you look in the project. If you look in that prospect, you will automatically find a lot of mistakes in your own project. So review a couple of times yourself, your seniors, your friends, and see your project will be improved and chances of funding will be very high. Okay, writing starts style and the budget. Writing styles matters. Like we say, the first impression is the right impression, right? ऐसे होता है, first impression is the last impression basically. So what happened? A lot of time we see the deformatting of the project. Line यहाँ जा रहा है, line यहाँ जा रहा है, font है, कोई Arial है, कोई Times New Roman में जा रहा है, कोई font बड़ा रख दिया, font छोटा रख दिया. It's basically irritate the reviewers, right? So when you see, when you copy check the what we call एग्जाम बच्चों का आप कॉपी चेक करते हैं सभी लोग ना. So if writing is not good, formatting is not good, picture is not good, you get frustrated. Even if they have written correctly, you will give always less marks, one less marks than others compared to. Similar to with your project. At least this is the thing that you can do correctly. If you are unable to do this, there are small shops around your campus, around your same like accommodation. जहाँ पे आप लोग रहते हैं वहां पर मिल जाएंगे, आप जाइए उनको फॉर्मेट करा लीजिए अपने प्रोजेक्ट को. Format is the key. Because when we look at project, it should look good. Idea and other things come second. When I pick up the file, like couple of pages, actually I should be impressed about it. Font size, 10 structure बनाया है, 4 का font size अलग है, 3 का कुछ और है. Picture बनाया है वो blurry है. तो ये जो छोटी चीजें हैं प्रोजेक्ट में बहुत मैटर करते हैं. It's very very important to think about it. Okay. And budget, I mentioned already, budget should be totally aligned with your project. Okay. Internal process. So when you are ready to submit your project, you have to see what is the requirement, complete the early notification. So don't wait for the deadlines. Okay, deadline is 30, so don't wait for the last minute. Do all the formalities upfront. Determine if the institutional cost share match is required. So a lot of time, you know, your institute want money, overhead जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं. So if your institute want something, you just mention it. Don't try to not to put. Otherwise, your project will be rejected. Because funding agency knows it. The administrative purpose money is required. So you can put, okay, and complete the institutional cost share, complete the proposal routing. A lot of time you'll see you submit a project, but your institution head signature is not there. So if you don't take permission from the institute head to run that project in that particular institute, how will you get the project? So sometimes this project is also got rejected. Okay, and when you're ready to submit the project, does the project proposal meet the requirements? Do you have all the attachments? Sometimes we forget, and we see the mails also. Sir, मेरा CV attach होना रह गया है. Sir, मेरी ये file रह गई है. So this happen a lot of time. Like exam में होता है ना. Sir, मेरी copy extra copy लगाना भूल गया मैं. ऐसा project में जब आप last minute के लिए wait करते हो तो there are a lot of chances you miss something in the project. Okay, so these things has to be taken care. At the last, once you are ready and submit the project, just relax and wait. Okay, maybe good news is coming soon for you. So thank you. I think I'm done with my presentation. So if anyone has any question, I will be happy to answer. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's ask people. If anyone is interested, they will surely ask.
Someone has any queries, they can ask, sir.
If no question means everybody knows everything about funding, right?
Sir, no, sir, it's not like that. Actually, there are many things. Aishwarya ma'am, please unmute Anagha ma'am. The thing is that you have explained it in such a beautiful manner. Probably most of the doubts might have cleared during the presentation itself.
Okay.
And what I, sir, feel is working backwards, that 1 year integration. So many people must be thinking on that background, because usually here in academics, when we are more focusing on teaching, we start this thought process only when something is announced, and not prior to that we have to apply for funding. It was absolutely informative session, sir, and thanks a lot for this.
No, you can get ready yourself, because all faculties in working the different domain, they know, okay, at some point of time they need funding.
Yes.
Okay, they will be asked by their principal or asked by the director to get funding, right?
Right,
So,
right.
in backward mind, you always have, you need to write a funding. In addition to the teaching, obviously it's not current goal, but you just keep thinking how you get funding. Keep prepare yourself, keep updated yourself, keep reading, going to websites of funding agencies, and don't forget, don't shy to call the program officer. Always, they give beautiful information. कितना पैसा मिलेगा, क्या हमारा वो है, mandate है अभी इस बार में ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट लोग सबमिट कर देते हैं कि डायबिटीज का उनका मैंडेट ही नहीं है. आप डायबिटीज का प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट करोगे सपोज, तो वो कैसे फंड करेगा?
Right, sir. True.
Right. So,
And the most interesting part was, sir,
some alignment is required.
Yes. Sir, आपने जो बोला ना कि एक बार reject हो गया तो don't lose heart. That is most important. We can keep on resubmitting until and unless we can improvise and do it. Really nice.
Yeah.
Sir, one of
if
the
your idea is not good, then improve the idea. And
right.
One of the participants
जैसे हमारा पेपर का होता है, पेपर एक बार रिजेक्ट हो जाता है. My mail ID, yes, okay. My mail ID is Gupta P.
Yes.
GUPTAP@replyim.res.in.
Imtiaz sir, did you get that?
Yeah, he must have got it. No issues.
So, like the paper rejected from one journal, we resubmit again, right? So, somewhere after maybe 2 rejection, 3 rejection, you will get paper rejected somewhere. So, similarly, project rejection doesn't mean it's bad. Maybe there might be some issues.
Correct.
That's right, sir. That's
and sometime of budget of sometime of the budget of funding agency also. For example, there's a process. What I'm telling you, when we like DST survey, suppose if they have 100 crores of worth of money they want to spend, right? So they receive almost 1,000 projects or 2,000 projects. Okay, so they do the primary screening of those projects. So out of 1,000 or 2,000 projects, they come up screen about 500 projects, initial projects. So they send those projects for the review purpose. So after review, if you get negative comments, straight forward, those project is out from the further discussion. So out of 500, maybe 200 projects has gone out. Now we have a 300 positive comments for the projects. So once we calculate those 3 projects, maybe budget is going like 120 crores, right? And we have only 100 crores to give. So now funding agency has to prioritize to adjust the 20 crores. How will they sanction all the projects? So then they start cutting money from maybe your allocation, that the fund you are asking, or either removing the project which has a bit weakness, not full weakness, bit weakness. So maybe your project, one of those, your project is good. So, but because funding was not available at that point in time, they rejected your project. So second time you submit the project with reference. Okay, guys, submitted this. We had a good comment from the reviewer, but unfortunately we did not get funding. So I'm submitting again. So maybe you're lucky second time to get that fund.
No, sir, it was such a fantastic session, and really all the audience is truly benefited out of it. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, on the behalf of Indira College of Pharmacy, we would like to give a vote of thanks on this occasion, sir. We are feeling very gratitude and respect for you, sir, for spending your invaluable time for us with us, and was sharing your thoughts and enlightening us on the topic, designing and writing up effective research grant proposals, sir. And you have put your best efforts for this, sir, to make this session a wonderful session. So our team ICP would like to felicitate you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really want to invite everyone who is here, the principal ma'am and Dr. Dayanand, with your team. You come sometime to Jammu.
Sure, sir. Once there, we will
Sure,
surely
sir.
meet you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you very much, ma'am.
It's all great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, we can conclude this now.
Yes. Next session will be at 3 o'clock. We'll conclude this now.
We will be starting sharp at 2 o'clock and validity will be at 3 p.m. So we request all the candidates, participants to please join at that time. Thank you.
Yes.